from the health department. We determined, though, that whatever data that we place on this site has to be credible. It has to be data that we can reliably access and that the community views it as being trustworthy. So that's sort of giving you a background of how the product, and I carefully speak of it as a product instead of a project, because this is now something we have that we can offer to the community that anyone can access. They don't need a password, and people can use it for various reasons, whether it's just doing some research or if it's including the information in a grant proposal, if it's to support whatever community discussions are going on, and to raise awareness about what the emerging issues in our community might be. So again, I'm taking several steps back beyond standardizing the language for common outcomes to speak about how we've identified and continue to identify what the most pressing issues in our community are. We also have, in addition to the graphs like the one that you see for families in poverty, in many instances we have GIS maps, and that's Geographic Information Systems. These are maps. If you go back up a little bit, Don, you can click on any one of these GIS data maps, and it'll give you a visual of what, because we're visual, people are generally get information better visually. You can see what's going on in Pierce County by the census blocks to get a sense of where there's higher degrees of poverty concentrated in our community. We don't have that for every single indicator, but as data and information becomes available, that's how we're also presenting this information. So before I go any further, I just want to stop and make certain that that made sense to people, or if anyone had any questions, you could feel free to ask.
Yes, let me pause the sharing for just a second here, and what I want to try and do is mute everyone. Okay, now you all should see a raise hand function. If you do see a raise hand function, please click on the raise hand. Okay, so it sounds like what we're going to do is just open this up more as a panel discussion, and we're going to unmute everybody. So, like we said, this is more of a panel discussion, so please let me go back to the website here. And if anybody has a question for Pam or a comment, please feel free to speak up.
Pam, I have a question. How often...
And please identify yourself.
Oh, I'm
also.
sorry. This
Thank
is
you.
Sharon Hutchins from Stanislaus County in California. I wondered, how often do you update these indicators, and who is responsible for doing that?
So we have a scheduled, can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. We have a set schedule for updating the information, and of course the update depends upon the source and how fresh or new the data are that they provide. So here's an example. For school enrollment and school graduation data, that information, the most current information we have, I believe, is 2008. And we have a person under contract with us here at United Way who works maybe about 20 hours a week or so, and his sole responsibility is identifying data sources, obtaining that data, compiling it. He then converts it and does the charts and the graphs that you see, and we update it. In addition to the site that you saw, when you go to that site, if you and disable, I guess, your pop-up blocker, there is another box that comes up. We do a quarterly, I don't want to confuse this with the other update. We have a quarterly information box that speaks to the most pressing issues in Pierce County, and we decided that because those issues have been pretty consistent throughout the year, we'll just focus on those. So it's the unemployment rate, it's the amount of foreclosures, the amount of emergency assistance like utility assistance and food assistance, and that pops up in a separate box when you go to the home page. Yeah. So we're updating that information right now so that people can see what happened during the third quarter of 2009. So does that answer your question?
Okay, should I go back to the page?
If you go to the home page and you have to, what is it, enable or disable pop-up blocker?
And while he's bringing that up, this is Sharon again with a follow-up. So it sounds like some of the quarterly information that you post is like this other information is from outside sources, but some may be internally collected by United Way funded partners?
That's true. So, for example, the number of people who are requesting emergency assistance, we use the data collected from our 211 helpline. In some instances, it's from a specific funded partner, or even a non-funded partner, perhaps an agency. For example, we have an entity called Emergency Food Network, and they don't receive funding for us, but they are essentially the entity that provides and distributes food throughout Pierce County to the food banks. So I saw that second quarter box, and now it's gone, but that would give you an idea of the type of information that we have.
Yeah, Dawn, can you bring that back up again? This is Mary Beth from Phoenix. I have a question for Pam.
Okay, do I click on, I'm sorry, Pam, where do I click on to get to the
Go down to Explorer.